Welcome back, and today we will be installing our 2022 Hex Halos on a 2022 WRX. We're gonna open these bad boys up. We just got these in, super excited about them. I already have them on my car. Look at me, look at us. Hey, look at us. So you will see both Halos are in the same box here. And what's included in this kit are 2 Halos and 2 LED drivers. So you will need a Bluetooth or other sort of RGB remote. What the Halos do obviously is they mount to the shroud inside the headlight. You can use these in other applications. We just use the silhouette, the shape in here to create the shape of the halo, but you can use them whatever you want. Doesn't matter to me. Might look kind of cool. Might look even better. Might look better than the 2022 WRX. They're so ugly. In these boxes, we have the LED drivers. What these do, it's almost like a ballast. It takes the raw 12 volts from the RGB remote and sends it to the halo. You will notice 2 wires on here. There's a black and an orange wire. The black is a mandatory ground, so you must ground this. We typically tie it in with the ground on the RGB remote, or you could just do a chassis ground or a ground on the headlight. There's a lot of ground options. It just needs to ground. This orange wire is an optional turn signal. So if you want the halo to turn orange, you would just tap this to the positive turn signal wire on the headlight. That's that. The white wire goes to the halos, the black one goes to the remote. That's all you need to know. You get over here and film, dude. I want to see you on camera. All right, now that we saw our halos, the wire is going to be on the bottom. So the wires come out of the bottom, and if you mock this up to the shroud, you will see that it fits the shape quite nicely. On these shrouds, obviously the shape is a little tilted inwards towards the grille. So on the passenger side, it'll tilt this way. On the driver's side, it'll go the other way. But each one, you can nicely read the information that Subaru puts on the shroud for us. What we're gonna do with this is use a little bit of tape on the front just to mark where we're gonna drill, and using the tape will help protect the shroud from any sort of markings or damage from the pen itself. Tools we're gonna need for this is a Dremel or a drill, this little small drill bit. If you don't have one this small, a 1/16 is fine. We have a little bit of painter's tape and a pen. All right, so the next step is going to be mocking this halo up. And what we're gonna do is just go ahead and use the pen to show where the halo is gonna sit on this tape here. So like I said, this shape is very similar to the silhouette of this. So I'm gonna go ahead and just draw directly on the tape itself, not on the plastic of the shroud. I'm gonna be very careful to not go to the edge of the tape, just to ensure I don't get it on there at all. I'm gonna go on the outside as well, just a little bit. Okay, so the reason we did the 3 different corners is the top 2 we're gonna use to drill fishing line, and the fishing line will hold the halo to the shroud itself. The bottom is gonna be where the wire sneaks into the shroud just to hide any sort of wires. I don't wanna leave it going down like that. It just doesn't look very clean. So we're gonna drill a hole there so the wires can sneak through. So anything we do inside of these lines here is totally fine because it's gonna be covered by the halo. So this right here is where I usually like to drill the holes, is in between those lines there. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this small drill bit. And I'm gonna drill 2 holes. So how this is gonna go on is there'll be a fishing line that goes in the hole on the inside and then loop around the halo to the outside, and then we're gonna tie a knot on the back. So that's why we have 2 holes there. So for the bottom, I'm gonna go ahead and line this up again. You can see on the halo itself, there are obviously the wires which we're gonna put through, and then also this glue. This glue just helps to hold the wires to the PCB board, just so with like road vibration or installation, it doesn't pop off there. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a little room for this glue, as well as cut a hole for these wires to go through. I'm just gonna line this up with where we drew before, and then use our pen just to mark where the wires go through. So the wires are gonna go through here, and then right here is gonna be where the glue comes to. So I'm gonna make a little channel here just to allow the glue to sit flat, or the halo to sit flat. And then this will be for the wires. All right, so like I said, you can use a drill and just drill that hole out. And then what you could always do is just kind of bring the drill sideways as you're drilling, and that way it'll kind of cut this out a little bit. I'm gonna use a Dremel just because it is a little more precise and it's gonna give us a better overall finish. So at this point, we're gonna go into our sanding room, Dremel this out, and show you guys what we got. So we're gonna use two different attachments for the Dremel. We have our little sanding barrel, and then we have this, I think it's technically a sawtooth sharpener. It's just kind of like a grinding stone at a very small angle. Like I said, we wanna stay under that line. So I'm just gonna use this to Dremel out this area here for both the glue and the wires. And then we're gonna go ahead with this more precise bit and do the finishing touches. So this is really just to start the process. So I'm gonna start kind of right in the center and then work my way out just a little bit, staying below that black line. Cool, so you can see here that that area is Dremeled out right below that black line. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch bits to this smaller one now. And the first thing I'm gonna do is just plunge through to where the wire hole is gonna go. And then I am just gonna clean this line up here. So let's go. All right, so clean that up with the smaller Dremel bit. At this point, I can go ahead and just test fit this. So typically we would depin this, run it through for the final installation, but I just want to get a quick look and see how flush this is. So I'm gonna put it right where I drew with the pen. This glue is a little in the way, or I just need to remove some more material from the shroud. So I think what I'm actually gonna do is remove a little bit of this glue material using that same Dremel bit. The thing we have to be very careful about is not to hit this black PCB board because that may damage the halo and it won't work correctly. All right, so I just Dremeled the glue a little bit there. You can see I was pretty liberal to not take too much away. And lining it up with the lines that we drew previously, it fits perfectly flush. You can see there's no like gap or like it's not popped up in any one point. So that looks pretty good to me. So at this point we have this all Dremeled. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the tape. Boop, boop. So you may notice that there's a little bit of a burr on the top of this. I'm just gonna take a clean razor blade when we go back out to the desk and clean that up. So it's all cleaned up now. At this point, we're gonna go ahead and depin that halo, install it here, and then we'll show you guys how to do the fishing line. So we're just gonna go ahead and clean the halo off, the gel coating on it. You could just use some glass cleaner on this, but the silicone cover on top of this does tend to hold on to a little bit of dust, so nice quick clean there. And then we're gonna go ahead and depin this connector. So there's gonna be 4 tabs. If you look at the plug itself, there's gonna be the one side with the locking tab, and the other, you're gonna see these 4 little metal pieces. These are the pieces that hold the wires in. Gently push down the side closest to the wires themselves. So I'm using this little pick here. You can use like a toothpick or anything that has like a small tip to it. So that's that. So I don't know if we can get a close-up of these, but these right here are the locking tabs. So we just push those down. I'm just gonna take a razor and just gently push those up a little bit. They don't have to be a very aggressive angle, maybe like 40 degrees, but that's gonna ensure that we can go ahead and put this back on and have it lock in and not worry about it slipping off. I'm gonna remove this cable gland here because this isn't gonna go through that little hole. All right, at this point, I'm just gonna thread this through the hole we made for the wires. And then line it up with the holes that we drilled for the fishing line. So something you can do is, just to keep this centered the way you'd like it to, is I'm gonna go ahead and just insert fishing line into the inner hole. And now the outside one. And the fishing line that we use here is 25-pound fishing line, so it's a very small diameter. When this is installed, it's very, very difficult to see the fishing line, which is better as far as a finished product. Don't want to see all the stuff holding this together. All right, so now that I have both sides in there, it is still loose. I'm just gonna take a piece of tape and tape right here at the top. And that'll just make sure that the halo doesn't slide around while I'm trying to tie knots on these. I'm just gonna pull these through the back. So I'm gonna go ahead and just tie a knot with the fishing line, cinch it down really good. I usually wiggle it kind of back and forth like that just to make sure it's down all the way. We're gonna do a double knot, wiggling it back and forth again. And now we'll look at the front. Sometimes it will want to walk over a little bit as you tighten the knots down, so it still looks like it's centered to me. So I'm gonna move on to the other side now. So we're gonna do the same thing here, just pull that tight. Go ahead and tie this knot. And then once I know that these are centered nicely, it's exactly where I want it to be, I will go back around and just do a triple knot just to make sure it's not gonna wiggle free over time. So with the final knot, we can go ahead and cut these short. And at this point, we can remove that piece of tape from the top of the shroud to reveal our finished product. So the final step that we do take here at the shop is I will use some JB Quick Weld and just put a dab on either of the knots just to make sure that with road vibration over time, they don't wiggle loose. I will also put a little bit down here where the wires are for the same reason. And that also creates kind of that triangle effect of three things that kind of are holding the halo in place. But I will wait to do that until we're ready to install this onto the projector, because this sits very close to the projector. If there are any pieces that come in contact with it, I don't want a bunch of JB Weld kind of holding this off of that projector. So I will just dab that on right before I install this back on the projector itself. So the last thing we're gonna do is go ahead and just put the wires back into this connector. And let's go ahead and turn this on, show you guys what it does. Thank you guys so much for joining us for this installation video. You can see other videos like this on our YouTube channel. Also, if you want a set of these halos or any other products, please check out the link in the description, which has everything from our website. If you guys have any questions, feel free to comment below or reach out. If you guys have any video requests of what you want to see us do, please comment those below as well. Until next time, we'll see you.